G'day everyone, welcome to another Toon podcast, the Southern Hemisphere's original and best podcast dedicated to all things Newcastle United. Tonight I'm joined by Mark in Brisbane. Mark, how are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm doing all right. Been a bit of a weird week with my back. I've been doped up on endone most of the week, so yeah, lucky to have made this without being completely spaced. But we'll
Yeah,
soldier on, and we'll get through some stuff tonight.
geez, it could have been a good one if you were a bit in another realm, but maybe it's good for clarity and clearness of thought to be in a sane state of mind. Before we go any further, we're trying to charge towards 1,300 subscribers. So if you come across our video and you like it, give us a like and a follow and a subscribe on YouTube. That's great. And I'll leave a review on all your audio platforms as well. It helps us out a lot and it helps us keep trying to grow this channel. We've got to have a fair bit of content, especially in the next 12 months. So we're hoping to grow with that. So if you could help us, that'd be fantastic. But tonight we're here to talk about part one, I guess, of the squad. I've seen lots of different incarnations of this around. There's a squad game and like a keep and buy and sell and things like that. I thought of squad pod, but it was a bit of a mouthful. So we'll just go with a
Sounds like some dodgy '80s cop show.
yeah. Keystone Cops, the good cop and the bad cop, me and you. But yeah, we'll aim to get through the defenders and the goalkeepers tonight, and stay tuned for next week. We'll sort of cover the midfielders and the forwards. So, yeah, without further ado, Mark, we'll get stuck into it. We'll bring up the goalkeepers first. Unfortunately, we didn't use Keith, the supercomputer, for our graphics tonight. We had done them by the book, so Keith's just having a bit of a rest. Keith is off to the sick bay. So he might be back. He might be back next week. We're not sure. We can't give a time frame when Keith will be back. But we'll get through. Nick Pope, he's great season. I think Craig might have had him for Player of the Year. Did he, Mark? And he's
Yeah, it was very, very close run thing for
yeah.
a few people.
Oh no. He had Botman as Player of the Year, and Nick Pope was his best signing for the year. You can go figure that. I couldn't make heads or tails out of it. If you're the best player of the year and you got signed, you're probably the best signing. But Craig's a unique individual. He marches to the beat of his own drum, so he can do what he likes. But he's in. I'm not going to entertain any thoughts of selling Nick Pope at the moment, Mark.
Not at all. Still number one for a few years yet.
Yeah. Now that is the question.
The other three, however,
will he get the number one next season? He might be number one, but will he get the number one?
I can't see us going all in for another keeper that's above him at the moment. I don't think it's a priority position for us this off season. As much as I think long term, I think Eddie Howe will prefer to have someone who's a little bit more comfortable with the ball at his feet, who maybe is a bit younger, a bit more sort of able to play out from the back a little bit more, but still keep that sweeper keeper role that Pope has done so well in the vast majority of the games, at least, without the Liverpool game withstanding. Look, I think he's pretty much nailed on to be our number one next year. I think if we sign anyone, it's going to be a backup keeper for him, because I think funds are needed elsewhere.
So Martin Dubravka, is he staying or is he getting sold?
So I like Martin Dubravka. I know Lee hates him because he flaps the ball out and basically punches it back to an opposition attacker every time he makes a save. Look, I think he's a good keeper. I think he has some flaws in his game. I think he left a very sour taste in a lot of fans' mouths with his little petulant move to Man United during the year that effectively ruled him out of the cup final when we needed him. So, look, at his age, I think he probably wants first team football as well. I don't think he's going to get it. Is he going to be happy sitting on the bench again? Even though, look, we're going to have more games next season, so he may get more opportunity, but I would personally sell him. I think if you can get even a few million for him, then grab it, cash it in, use that to get someone else.
There has been a bit of talk Actually, we'll get to the talk about bringing people in once we get through it. So, Loris, Gareth, before we go to Loris, I think I'm with you. I think get rid of Dubravka unless he's happy to sit down and play a couple of cup games because that's it. I mean,
Yeah.
Pope, as long as Pope's fit, he's going to play all the Premier League and all the Champions League games. So,
which is what he should have been doing last season, but threw the toys out the pram. So for
yeah,
me, that was like the exact opposite of what everyone else in the squad has done, and we'll get onto that, especially with the defenders when we go through them.
Yeah,
look, I mean, yeah, it was just a bit of a dick move on his part. He managed to get a cup final medal or something, didn't he? Because he played for Man United and he was cup tied for us. So therefore, you know, when we needed him, when he was back here, because he came back with his tail between his legs almost. Yeah. For me, that was just like, it left a sour taste in the mouth, and I'd not be unhappy to see him go, even though I have been happy with him as a keeper through his tenure here at Newcastle.
Yeah. Loris Karius. So I was reading an article on The Athletic earlier in the week. From what they've reported is he's got an open offer to stay. If he wants to stay, they're more than happy to keep him. What would you do?
I would keep him around if he's happy enough to be backup. I think he's an underrated keeper because he was effectively thrown under the bus for his performance in the Champions League final for Liverpool. I don't think he's as bad as it's been made out to be. I think he's a very able deputy. I think he had a decent cup final for us when he was called upon.
Yeah, I thought he was fine.
Couldn't really do anything about the 2 goals that we conceded. I thought he did all right for the rest of the game. So yeah, I have no problems. The big talking point though is whether or not he would want to stay. There's talk that his missus, who's pregnant or something, is over in Italy and wants to go over there. So that may end up being a deciding factor. I'm not sure.
Yeah, well, like I said, it's up to him, isn't it? I mean, he's got a contract there.
Yep.
I'm sure his agent will be ringing around trying to get him something a bit more because he wasn't even playing when we signed him. That was the whole hook of signing him, because he was a free agent. So I mean, he's 29. If he can get another deal somewhere, fair play to him. But I mean, if this is his only gig, I'd be sticking around as well. Mark Gillespie out of contract at the end of the month. I think we can put a line through him.
You'd hope so. He's just not good enough for this level, is he? Let's be honest. He's just not good enough. And you know, we've spoken, like, look, Darlow's on his way back as well from loan. You kind of maybe thinking he's probably going back out the door because he's deemed not good enough. If he's not good enough, then Gillespie's certainly not. I
think Darlow's a sell. Just get what you can, get him off the books. I mean, he's on loan. Where was he? Is it Swansea? He was on loan this year.
I can't remember where he went.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was a championship club. So, if they want to, I think by all reports he had an okay season. If they want to buy him for a cut price fee and get him permanently, I think.
Oh, look, I think Darlow's
both parties would be happy.
He's always kind of done the job that was required of him, but doesn't seem to be able to sustain it for a long period of time. So he's kind of all right to come in for a game now and again at the Premier League level. He's just not capable of playing at that level week in, week out. And so, look, if he takes a drop down to the Championship, then he's probably got a decent few years of his career left in him and at that level. Yeah,
and I think most people would agree he's actually a really good shot stopper.
Yeah.
His actual shot stopping is really good. It's all the other things that encompass being a goalkeeper that he's not as good as what our other guys are. And I mean, like, if I was his age, I'd probably want to be playing every week as well. I mean, the Championship's a pretty good league to play in. You play every week or come up here and you'd be probably second or third choice. Yeah. Like, you're not going to bother. So, that'll do it for the goalkeepers. So, if anyone's keeping
before we move on with those, I am going to flag up there's a little bit of talk about Fraser Forster and Tim Krul potentially being brought back in. I was
thinking I said we'll get back to the incomings. Yes, thanks for reminding me. Yeah, so that part of things will fulfill there's a homegrown
it's the homegrown quota, and that's the big thing for us in the Champions League. Season,
so like if we can sell Dubravka and Darlow and perhaps bring one of them guys in, like I'm sure well, I'm not sure. I don't know anything, but I think them guys would be happy to come to a Champions League club and their home club as well and finish off their career.
Yep.
Being in a Champions League squad, who knows what can happen? Like, it's a funny game, and all of a sudden you could be in the spotlight a bit like Tim Krul was for his first game of football for us. So, yeah, watch this space. Hopefully they can do something very productive in the transfer window and sort of tick a couple of boxes off and actually probably come out a bit in front if we sell Dubravka and Darlow and bring in Krul. I'm sure he'll be less than whatever fee combined. So we might actually make a little profit with them as well. I also wouldn't be surprised if we got a young goalkeeper in through the academy. And
we signed that really young kid from was it Northern Ireland or?
Yeah, we did too. Yeah,
Belfast. No, it was Republic of Ireland.
You can't tell me that he can't do what Michael Gillespie's doing.
Exactly,
let's be honest. Yeah. All right, moving across. We'll go to the centre backs now. Now, before everyone's up in arms who are watching, Dan Burn is meant to be a centre back by trade, just by choice and the way we sort of designed and fell into the season that he ended up playing at left back and made it his own. But I'm pretty sure that a left-sided centre back is his preferred position. But we'll start off with the captain, Mark. Big Jamal Lascelles.
This is definitely coming down to what the player wants. If he's happy to stay and be a part of the dressing room, because by all accounts he is one of the senior figures in that, and he's still the club captain. Let's not forget. So if he is content to be part of that leadership group still, wants to be a part of the team, but is content that, like, he's going to have to be happy with bit part performances and the odd appearance off the bench here and there, or to cover for injuries if we happen to get them. Hopefully we don't. Then, I would keep him around. I think I know Dimmy doesn't like him in terms of his skill level. I don't think he's as bad as people make him out to be. I think he's just a very old-fashioned centre half. He's never going to be comfortable with the ball at his feet, but he can come in and do a job when he's needed. But if you get what we get off him in terms of the leadership role, that to me is worth a squad place if he's happy to be here. If he's not, and if he wants to go, then don't think we can stand in his way if he wants to play regular first-team football somewhere else.
Question on the spot. If you were Jamal Lascelles, what would you do? Would you stay or would you go and want to play every week?
His contract, he's only got like a year left on his contract. So it's kind of coming into that John Joe Shelby time where if someone came and gave you that 3-year contract on good wages somewhere, you're probably going to say yes and take that move rather than, well, I don't know what's going to happen at the end of next season anyway. So let's just get some sort of guaranteed thing to look after the family and get that money while I can. It's a tough one because he clearly does like playing for the club. He does like being part of the club, and he's been the consummate professional this year, despite the fact that he's never really played the amount of games that a captain for a club would normally be playing. He's likely to lose the captaincy to Trippier full time next year, I would imagine anyway. So look, if I was him and a good offer came in for a multi-year contract somewhere else, you'd have to be thinking about taking it.
It's interesting, like the red team of Manchester have got their Fergie time. We've just invited our John Joe time now. So anyone who's got around the 30 years old mark who's got about a year left, they're in John Joe time now. So if you want to get something else for a bit longer and a bit more financial security, go ahead. You can pick off your John Joe time. Burn and Botman, I think they're no-brainers. Shah's a no-brainer. The thing that interests me, Mark, about Lascelles is I think that the club has been a bit open with trying to buy another young right-sided centre-back as well. So that's going to push him a bit more down the order, and opportunities are probably going to be even more limited to what they were this year as well. So I'm sure the club's communicated that to him, and he's definitely.
That's what I mean. So if it's literally down to, he's got to know his game time is going to be very limited next season. So if he's happy to do that and he's happy to hang around and there's a squad place for him and he ticks the box of a a British local player type thing. Doesn't fulfill the homegrown quota for Champions League squad, but does fill a homegrown quota in terms of like a British born player. So look, it might be that he ticks that box. He's happy to hang around, but he's got to be well aware that he's not going to get any game time next season.
Yeah, for sure. All right, rollicking along to the legitimate left backs of the club now. We've had
that's debatable.
Yeah, well, left backs by preferred position, I should probably be called. Paul Dummett, Jamal Lewis, and Matt Targett. We'll start off with Dummett. Out of contract at the end of the month. I think Eddie's been on record to say he'd be keen to have him around for another year. I'm not sure.
The only reason to keep Paul Dummett is to have that
the quota.
He's a quota. He's a quota tick box. That's all he is.
He's a tick and a flick.
He didn't get a game. He didn't get a game this season for us, did he?
No, I don't think he got on the pitch, did he?
Even if he is fit, he's very rarely fit.
He definitely did it in the league. I'm not sure if he snuck on with a couple of them early League Cup games. He might have.
I'll be honest. I think Paul Dummett's came in for a lot of stick over the course of his Newcastle career. I don't think he is as bad as people have made him out to be. No. I think he's one of those players that didn't cost a fee and so is an easy target for people to kind of use as a scapegoat because you're not kind of like having a go at your £30 million centre half. It's like you're basically some kid that's come up through the academy and you can sort of point the finger and not really have a guilt trip about it. But look, to me, I think whenever he's been called upon, he's been solid. He's been a solid player. He's never going to be that world-class player, but a solid professional when called upon. Quite versatile because he's played at centre half for us as well.
Yeah, he did a bit, didn't he? Yeah.
And I actually think he's better at centre half than he is at left back, to be honest.
I don't understand the hoo-ha and the hysteria around him, ability-wise. Anyway, I mean, he gives his all. He's a 7 out of 10 every week. You know what I mean? Like he'll never give you a 10, but he'll probably never give you a 2 or a 3 as well. But I think he was really comfortable even under previous managers. He was comfortable with his game. He knew what he could do and knew what he couldn't do. Yeah. And didn't try and do the stuff he couldn't. He just, okay, I know I can do this. And he just played to what he could. He knew, and that's all on it. That's why you get your 7 out of 10 every week, isn't it? Because you're just solid. You know what you're going to get up. Jamal Lewis. Interesting. He come with a lot of hype. I think
he did.
He was fit for a lot more of the season than I think people sort of understood. But he was never really called upon, was he?
Well, he's been here for 3 seasons now? And he's pretty much never had a game. He had a couple of games, got booted in the face, and then never really made any appearances, has had a really bad string of injuries. He basically came as that because we by all accounts we beat Liverpool off to his signature, and they were
that's why it was a much like a hype signing, you know.
He was meant to be that Trent Alexander-Arnold type for the left, really sort of offensive-minded.
Like, it's not like we were a good club and had a lot to offer. Like, we had nothing. Like, what are you doing, Jamal? But it hasn't worked for him, has it?
No, not at all. I think he's like one of those players where, you know, he probably needs that fresh start just to kind of kickstart his career back off again. It's almost like the Ivan Toney situation where it's probably just got a bit stagnant for him at the club. Probably needs that little bit of a kick and a little bit of extra motivation at maybe a championship club at the moment. Just to kind of get that extra game time, get back into it and see if he can kind of resurrect something. I think he's definitely got pace. He's definitely got some skill on the ball. I think his defending was probably what was letting him down.
Very Arnold.
Yes. And so, you've kind of got to feel for him because it just hasn't worked out, but probably best if someone takes him from the championship. I don't know if we'd even get a fee for him. I think it'd probably have to be a loan move because I don't see many clubs going in for him based on the fact that he hasn't played much football for so long now.
Yeah, no, I'm a firm sell with him. I think, like Eddie said, we're going to keep Dummett. Target's not going anywhere. Burns not going anywhere, and reports are suggesting that we're going to be in for another left back, more like the Kieran Trippier mold as well. So, thanks for the memories, Jamal, but you have no future here. Matty Target as well, ever consistent, reliable. Unfortunately, due to, I think, more the way the team played rather than Dan Burns' form. He was out of the team. He did have that injury that kept him out for a fair while. I think it was a heel or Achilles injury that just wasn't getting better, and it just got to a point where rest was the only way to fix it. So he did miss a fair chunk of the season. So he's reliable, isn't he? He's very dependent.
I was absolutely thrilled that we signed him permanently when we did.
Yeah, I think we all were after
his
last
loan
year.
move was great, wasn't it?
Yeah.
He provides that little bit of extra attacking impetus down the left that Dan Burn doesn't. Defensively, probably not as solid as Dan Burn, but he's probably got a bit more pace behind him to get back into those positions if he is caught out of position. Look, to me, he's one of those players that, again, has probably suffered because of injury and form of the team. As you said, it's like he kind of got injured at the wrong time. Dan Burn did such a good job. And then by the time Dan Burn was kind of faltering a little bit and Target was back fit, we were literally in a race for the top four. And like Eddie Howe being Eddie Howe didn't want to change the back four, which is totally understandable. Wanted to keep that defensive unit settled for as much as he could. So, look, game time was limited. I'd expect him to be probably called on more next season. But again, it comes down to whether or not he's going to be happy to be fighting for that position. And the beauty is when Gerrard bought Digne in to Aston Villa, Gerrard had basically said to Target, you're out of the picture. You're not going to be our first choice left back. So that's why he wanted to leave. Whether or not you look at Eddie Howe's situation and his man management skills, whether or not that would be we're going to bring someone else in because we can't afford to go into it just with like Dan Burn as a backup left back again. We want to be playing more expansive football. We've got more games. So you're going to get game time, and it's going to be a battle to see who holds that position down. And it's going to be an open race. There's not going to be any favorites, just like we've seen with other positions in the team as well. If you come in because someone's injured or suspended, within reason. Obviously, Bruno comes straight back in when he was suspended, but there are other players who had to wait their turn to get back in the squad, and I think that's going to be the case with the left back position this season as well. There's
only a couple of players who were mortgage on their position. Bruno's one of them as well. Trippier's probably another one. So. I'm all for having him around. I think he's going to be good. He could be a really useful squad player next year with these extra games coming up. And the sort of part of me thinks like, a few extra games, like it's 6 extra games plus whatever happens after that. Like it's not really that big a deal. But you got to remember as well, we got knocked out of the FA Cup really early. So if we win 2 or 3 games, all of a sudden there's another 10 games compared to what we played this season. And
it's just more travel time as well. That's going to take its toll.
And fatigue and stuff like that. It's a whole range of things. And if he can keep his fitness levels up and stay out of injury trouble, I can see him definitely playing a fair bit next season if we don't buy another left back. We'll move across to right back. The player of the season, Kieran Trippier, he's untouchable at the moment.
Yeah.
But we've got 3 really interesting players in the right back position. Harrison Ashby is a 21-year-old we signed in January this year with Anthony Gordon. Sort of, I guess, bought with the view to take over from Kieran when he moves on and hopefully moves into a coaching role with the club as well. Are we keeping him around, or are we going to maybe loan him out for a season and get a few games?
Well, this is the weird thing with Ashby is he was really highly regarded at West Ham. Never really got any game time under Moyes. I know when we were on about signing him, a lot of the West Ham fans were pretty gutted that he was going to be leaving. They were, look, well, how many have worked out after they've left, even though they've been really good sort of supposed talents while they've been there. So you go, well, okay, that's fair enough. But he was brought in because he's literally a young version of everything that Kieran Trippier does. He's very offensive minded down the right flank. He kicks has a good pass on him, good free kick, good set piece delivery, defensively sound. You know, he's kind of ticking all the boxes where if you can kind of get him under Trippier's wing and bring him through, then you've basically got someone who's there ready to take over from Trippier. Whether or not next season's going to be too early for him, and maybe he would be better going out on loan, but you know, it's like, well, do you buy someone in from West Ham who's not getting game time and then not give him game time here? It's not really setting a very good example for other players that you're trying to attract to the club.
Yeah, that's right. You sort of need to sell the dream a little bit, don't you? So in a one-word answer, keep or loan?
Keep.
All right, let me write that down in my book. Thank you very much. We're just keeping tabs here. The next one, Emil Kraft. So he has. I think let's band these next two together, Mark, because it's one or the other for me.
Yep. No, I agree with that.
They're both of a similar age. Both their contracts run out next year. We're talking about Emil Kraft and Javier Manquillo. Which one are you going to give for our YouTube watchers? Are you going to give the gladiator thumb for if I say Emil Kraft? You give the gladiator thumb up, like an up or a down, or up? All right, he's up. So Manquillo's the unfortunate one that
it's a tough call, isn't it? They're both
call,
very similar levels. They're both very good at being that right back option. They're both, well, I mean, Kraft's an international. You kind of got that link with Alexander Isak in the national side, so it's potentially worthwhile keeping him around. He's a year younger. It's the big question mark for me is he's basically coming back from a season-long injury.
Yeah.
So how does he come back from that? And I think maybe you make a call on that mid preseason and see how he's coming back from that, whether or not he's playing at a level where you think you can get the most out of him, or whether or not you feel he's got a little bit of wear and tear that on his body now, and he's not quite capable of matching the same intensity levels as, say, a Manquillo can, and you make a call that way. But it's a very, very tough call, because I think both of them have proven over the last few years that they're capable. They're not going to be holding down a first team spot, but they're capable of being that backup. And you know, if you have one of them with Ashby there as well, and you kind of rotate them underneath Trippier, maybe for cup games and stuff like that, like for the FA Cup and League Cup, obviously not Champions League.
It's a really they've both got so many pros and cons that they both sort of cancel each other out. It's a really, really tough decision, and I've got no doubt one of them is going to go.
You can't keep four right backs on.
No, and I wonder if it's the same thing. Hey, if you can find somewhere else and you want to go, we're not going to stand in your way. I wouldn't be surprised if that was the way it fell, where Manquillo might be walking into John Joe time. He's in the 29 now, so he's firmly in the John Joe time. Does he get a 3-year offer from a Champions League? That is definitely not going to happen. A championship club.
Maybe he goes back to Spain. Who knows?
Yeah. He might, like a La Liga club, sort of mid to low table La Liga club. Goes back home, finishes his career. But I think if it was up to me and I was the gladiator dude with the thumb, I think I'd keep Kraft. Both, like I said, both very similar. I think Kraft showed a bit when Trippier was injured last season, and I think people he started to grow on everyone. I think the jury was a little bit,
especially Lee.
I don't know about this guy, and he sort of when Trippier hurt himself and
he didn't put a foot wrong.
No,
He didn't put a foot wrong while he was
yeah, he's
playing.
not
He
bad.
played
This
really
bloke.
well.
He's not bad. So he gets that, and I think, and it's a horrible thing to say, and this shouldn't really come into any discussions, but I think it's very important to have a mate for Isak to talk to and rely. I know him and Willock, it looks like they've got their little bromance going on the
Yeah.
side and their little secret handshakes and pointing fingers and all that sort of stuff that they've got going on. And you get Kraft, the token pasty white Swedish guy, who just maybe feels a little bit left out of their little gangster stuff, but I'm sure they have a really good relationship, playing a lot together in the national team as well. So
Yeah.
I think Kraft for me, but we definitely need to. I think Jack's referred to it as trim the fat. I think we need to sort of start getting rid of the players who definitely aren't going to be a part of things anymore. And if we can either bring in some youth in their positions as well to fill that role and grow with the club, or we bring in more experienced and quality players and then push the other ones who are going to stay further down the pecking order.
Yeah.
It's probably going to be a combination of both, isn't it? We're going to buy some ready-made stars to walk into the first team, but we're also not going to forget that we sort of do need to still try and pick off some of this young talent around Europe for maybe your 30, 40 million. And
Well, I guess that comes into that whole John Joe time, doesn't it? Because if we've got a very old squad at the moment, and obviously Ashworth doing his best to snap up as much good, top quality young talent around Europe and the world as he can at the moment. But at the same time, that's not going to do us for the time being. We kind of need those early to mid 20s type players that are kind of got the experience, got the quality, got the form, got the pedigree to kind of come in and be that first choice player, like Botman, like Bruno did.
Bruno, like Isak
like
as well.
Isak's done,
maybe more the Bruno Botman price range than the than the Isak price range. But
well, it's going to be interesting, isn't it?
I think that we spoke this time last year about the Newcastle tax. I think the Newcastle tax is going to jump about 20%. But it's going to be fun. We've spoken at length about it in the chat. The next kind of 3 or 4 months is going to be an absolute roller coaster about what's coming in and the links. Like, the links are going to be daily, so don't get too wound up following links, because you'll be chasing your tail and your phone battery will be flat.
It does look like we're signing the that guy from the
14-year-old
Odense, the 14-year-old, like Minte or whatever his name is.
Yeah, I think maybe not to that extent, but I think definitely, like you said, the sort of MO is going to be, let's get these young players between 20 and 23 who have the potential to be superstars, but let's get them before they're superstars, so we don't have to pay 60, 70 for them. We can actually get them.
It's what we were all saying when we got Ashworth. It was going to be the Brighton model on a budget. It was going to be that higher kind of floor for the players that we were bringing in, because we had a bit more budget behind us to get, and a bit more drawing power to get those players in that were, very well sought after. But at the same time, we've got the budget, hopefully, as we keep progressing, as they start to develop, to keep hold of these top players rather than have to cash in on them. So to me, it's like, it's this perfect scenario that we're trying to build at the moment. And, you look at the amount of effort that we're putting into kind of stocking up those, as you said, those like sort of 18 to 22-year-olds within the academy, to hopefully be starting to get this conveyor belt through. And it's what I think I spoke to quite at length with Jack about this as well, was the ideal scenario is you have one absolute superstar come through a year, and you have 2 or 3 other players that are good, solid players, and you sell them for like 15, 20 million. And then that funds the system all the time, keeps financial fair play happy. And it offsets all of that expenditure on when we do need to splash the cash on an Isak model where we don't have that ready-made player available.
Yeah, and for those of you who aren't sort of know the intricacies of the FFP stuff, the important thing in that is any sort of players we sell and outgoings, if we sell someone for 20 million, that's lumped in straight away. So, but the incomings can be spaced out over the length of a contract. So if he's a £25 million pound player on 5 years, that it's only $5 million per year that actually counts towards FFP. So
very creative accounting.
Yes, very. We're like
we get Dimmy on it.
Yeah. So that's why it's really important to sort of start getting in a position where we can sell players to, like you said, offset the stuff that's bringing in. So if we can sell, it's like it could be something like 3 or 4 players a year for 10 million. That's 40 million straight away in the bank. Where we can space that out over 5 or 6 years with an incoming player. So that's where it's really important to generate, like you said, that production line in a way to start bringing good players in and developing them good players and actually start getting money for them, which I think most of us had been screaming the bleeding obvious for 14 years about. This is okay. If you don't want to spend money, that's fine. You want to make money, this is how you're going to do it.
Yeah.
And
it's something I never understood about Ashley. It was like the model was there to be able to do what he did, but his decisions to go and, raid the bargain bins of Europe, but then sell them and then try to raid the bargain bins of Europe again it was always a gamble. It was never like a sure thing. It was never kind of bringing in players that were going to be developed through the academy, because we effectively had no academy while he was here. We had ice baths for bins and in bins and paddling pools in the back of the sports shed sort of thing. It was proper Mickey Mouse stuff where, within 18 months of the new owners being in, they've renovated the academy. They've started putting all these new players in. They've renovated the training facilities. It's just chalk and cheese.
Elite. It looks like an elite performance center now. Like it actually, it looks fit for purpose.
Yeah. So, and it's pretty scary when you think that's the interim solution until they can build their proper one.
Yeah. I don't care what the new one looks like, as long as Shola doesn't do the walkthrough like he did on this
it was so painful to watch that, wasn't it?
I felt uncomfortable watching it. I know it was probably like half taking, probably not half, like 90% just taking the piss and stuff like that, but it was just, it was just cringe, wasn't it?
It was a bit cringe. It was a bit cringe,
yeah.
So, yes.
Anyway, there hasn't been much stuff kicking around this week. There's been a few sponsorship, not announcements, but continuity of the sponsor with Noon and Fun 880. I think Noon's agreed to jump on again as a sleeve sponsor, so hopefully there's a bit more cash for that with the Champions League and stuff. Fun 88 have agreed to stick around. They're going to be our official Asian online betting partner. So if any other continents are looking to be the official betting partner, the doors are open. We've only got our Asian box tick so far.
Yeah. So, it's worth it just for Fun 88 social media account.
Yeah,
they've been good. Really good value.
Yeah, no, they've been real good. What else? I don't want to sort of speak much about the new leak kit because I'm really skeptical about leaks unless it comes from footy headlines. They're generally the ones who leak it. But if that's our kit, that is.
I hope that is our kit because it is absolutely gorgeous.
That is pure sex. And we spoke about this last night when we false started, Mark. But it ticks my perfect box where a perfect Newcastle kit is 7 stripes on the front. Now, whether that's 4 black, 3 white, or 4 white, 3 black, you can dish it any way you like. But if it's got 7 stripes, it's going to be a good kit. So if you want, go through all the kits through the years. I think there's a website where you can see all the kits, and I bet you see all your favorite kits have got 7 stripes on the front, and this one had 7 stripes, so it was a winner. That's just. Oh, actually, I'd like to get your thoughts on this before we leave. Are you happy with the black and white back, or did you like the solid color black, the back of the jersey?
I'm not really bothered. I wasn't a big fan of the red numbers, but I know some people who love that, and I guess it's all just down to kind of creating that that contrast, so you can see the numbers from level 7 in in St James's without the use of binoculars.
Halfway to Pluto.
Look, I mean, do you remember the kit that we had with the shield on the back with the numbers?
I love that. Actually, that was my first ever heartbreak, Mark. I had a Spriller 11 on the back, and I thought I was the Ducks nuts. And then 12 months later, he left, and then I'm cracked it because I'm never getting a name on my jumper again. And then I tried peeling it off, and then I completely fucked my jumper. And one of my biggest Newcastle regrets is getting rid of that shirt, because it would be an absolute masterpiece now. Like, it would be great. So I'm a flat coloured back guy, whether it's a black back and white numbers or white back, black numbers. I don't care. I'm not a fan of the red. I know with the history and all that, but I like the solid colour.
Yeah, keep it solid at the back.
Yeah.
You obviously can't have the stripes with the numbers. It just gets a bit chaotic.
Yeah.
So you got to have some way of seeing it.
My old NTL, the last time we were in the Champions League, that jersey, that's got black name and number on it with just the white outline around it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I love that shirt, but I don't like the arrangement on the back. So, Castore, I know you've had a lot of problems with your what's the word? Quality. I think your sizing sometimes is a little bit off. You don't give refunds either, your dogs, because you won't refund me for my jumper. I sent back in good faith. It didn't fit, so I sent it back to get another size, and you're telling me it's been refunded, and I never got that money. So if you're watching, please get in touch. Hit me up on Twitter. Happy to take your refund now and get another jumper and put my money back into the club. But as far as their kits are concerned, I've liked all of them so far. So
yeah. No, the kits haven't actually been bad designs. It's been the quality and the lack of support.
This is a shout out to the design team at Castore. You're doing a great job. Everyone else, you can go and get fucked. All right, give me my money back or send me another jumper. I don't care. You can do what you like, but sort me out, please. After that rant, we got a bit off track. That'll do us, Mark. We'll keep it snappy. Stay tuned next week. I'm not sure who's going to get into the midfielders and the forwards, but it's going to be a very healthy discussion centered around one particular individual. I feel, Mark, I think a lot of the midfielders probably need to stick around because we need some. Yeah. We don't need to. We don't need to lose anymore. Our forwards, apart from one, Geordie from Mackay, I think we're happy with them all and want to keep them, except for Craig, who
tongue in cheek. I'll get on Craig's side here. I don't think he was being serious about it. Well,
he was serious.
He was serious, but it was when Wilson was a little bit out of form as well. But yes, I think a lot of the focus is going to be. We could probably do a whole pod on Maxi.
I think we should just do a quick 5-minute tick and flick with every other player, and then because we always
into the real nitty gritty.
Yeah, we always say we don't want to get bogged down on this, and then it's a 10-minute spiel. Do you know what?
Passion. It's the passion leaking out. We can't help it.
Don't deny it. All right. Don't hide it. Don't shirk it. Don't skirt around it. Hit it between the eyes and address it properly. That's what I hope the boys do on part 2 of this fantastic squad pod. Mark, that'll just about do us, mate. Thank you for your time tonight.
Nice.
It's been good. Just for the record, before we leave, he's selling Martin Dubravka. He's selling Jamal Lewis. He's selling Carl Darlow. Karius can decide what he wants to do. Who else was there? Oh, Mark Gillespie, you're off. You can go back to Gateshead or somewhere like that.
Gone.
Who else was there? No, that was it. So we've done a nice bit of squad trimming.
And Mankia.
Man. Hey, I didn't. Yeah, I forgot to write him. See you, Javier. Enjoy your time, mate. You've been a great servant.
It's been great, but no.
Thanks for the memories.
Good luck.
You're off. We should have that clip. Thanks for the memories. Just like every player, as you've cut them off. Just that's it. See you later. But yeah, that'll do for tonight. stay tuned for our part 2. I believe that might be a Sunday or a Monday that'll be released. So, keep your eyes and ears peeled for that, Mark. Thank you again for your time, mate.
No worries.
And
Pleasure as always.
we'll see you next time, everyone. Bye for now.
Take it easy.